What's going on, y'all? It's J-Smo Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Bringing you guys one more review from Chrome 23, Read the Room, and this is one that I said I would review. I thought it was my personal battle of the night pick, at least up in the conversation with Easy versus Suge, and that is Cortez versus King. I thought this was the best performance from any of the Trenches talent that, I don't think anybody flat out failed, but I don't think anybody had like straight up ace to test either, I think is how I referred to it. But I think this was the best battle of anyone from the Trenches talent. Obviously a returning Cortez performance here, which many of you guys know was one of the highlights of the night, and it was one where I was kind of in the minority with the way I called it. When I was in the building, I'd edged King the first two rounds of the battle. Once I'd gotten the third, I think I had it 1-3 King, watched it back, just the third back, and realized I totally messed up that one, right? And I just had different opinions on it, right? So I wanted to get a definitive call on it. This is going to be a quicker one, and we're going to get right to the battle. So first round starts on Cortez, and I think the first couple bars he had maybe didn't land perfectly, but then he had the Sammy Sosa lose the tone. I thought that was dope. In order for police to find you or search for answers, they got a Google Chrome. I thought that was dope. And I'm going to tell you off rip, something Core does so good is that he's going to have haymakers here, but he's got witty writing. And what does that mean? Creative punchline heavy writing will usually lead to high-level haymakers, but when you have a sound pen like Cortez that's also rapping it very thorough, he's landing the jab all throughout, right? So he's got a couple of those. The card on this card, dispute the charges. I thought that was dope. The discharge and automatic overdraft bar, I thought that was dope. So a couple credit card bars there. All the ratchets out like Zeus Network, I thought that was dope. But then he hits a pocket here where the effectiveness, the power of the punches, I feel go up for a few bars. Get the car washed just in case this dude from the details detailing the car, I thought that was fire. Rocky in the meat freezer, I'm a cold puncher, and I thought that was really fire. And it's not just the punch itself, right? Because like I said, creative punches, right? We'll talk about some King bars that maybe hit a little bit at a higher level, but it's the setup that's really sound. It's the rapping into it that's really sound, and that's kind of the difference in their two styles in this one. Trying to get a street name, we'll get a street named after you. Haymaker, fire. The plug fronted me daily. It was a brick per diem, obviously daily per diem. I thought that was crazy. So he even has some highs here. I thought that and the street name bar were both kind of haymakers. I pack extra in case, just like bitches on vacation. I live with my lady, man. She's always trying to throw some motherfucking shit in that suitcase. So maybe that's a personal relation one, but I thought that was fire. The laden sheets for pillow talking, fire, man. So Core is efficient, and that's something in the building I knew was happening, but I didn't realize he's really not missing really any bar in the first round, and then he ends on the fake this, fake that, I don't want no fake love. So overall, an efficient first round from Cortez. And then you have the first round on King, right? He has the you mentioned Google Chrome. I give everybody in my network. I thought that was cool. Kind of missed, honestly, to be honest. But then the second rebuttal / freestyle he had was Mac Myron. And the way the stage was, there was kind of people on top, looking down into the pit. And he said, you could hold the baby over the balcony like Michael Jackson. I thought that was fire, right? And he says, bullets deform Court and leave his abnormal. I thought that was dope. I don't need crowd reaction. That's the jury duty crowd reaction bar. I thought that was crazy. And this is where King hits some of his highs in the round, right? Gun shot through gun loud, so I shoot it in the jacket. It sounds better in the trenches. Haymaker. The default settings bar with Misfit, I'll give her dick and set her factory reset, put her back to default settings. It hit in the building. I wasn't too crazy over that one, live or really here. Ashtray, gun like an ashtray. Basically, it's a blunt object. It wasn't even a gun bar, I don't believe, but the ashtray blunt object wordplay was cool. And then another high-level haymaker here from him was bridge in the middle of court. Shoot 'em, bridge in the middle of court, like the Golden State logo. Crazy, right? And then he has this Mandela effect bar, but that's kind of it for King's first. And I think in the building, the way I judge this is that, always a little bit harder, I feel like, to judge in the building, right? There's a lot more moving pieces. It's not as simple as sitting here and I can kind of jot down or fully focus on just the battle itself. And I think that he had my two favorite bars of the round were from King. I love the "It Sounds Better in the Trenches" bar, and I love the "Bridge in the Middle of Court" Golden State logo. I thought they were both mad creative. And when you're judging the building, I feel like highs define a round a lot more, right? Like the best bars of the round or who kind of like the moments. But really on the watch back here, Core had a much more efficient round. He really landed more bars all throughout, and he still had a couple highs. The Brick Per Diem, the Street Named After You, the Rocky Cold Puncher. So I edged this one to King on my first watch of it when I was there, but watching it back, I would almost go to far as say, I'll still say it's like a comfortable edge for Core, but to be honest, I really clearly have him winning this first round of the battle and have him 1-0 on the rewatch. And then we get into the second round of the battle, which I think you could really debate is actually the best round from both of them, although it's a good battle all around. You have the on delay, kind of Spanish wordplay from Core at the top of the round. I thought that was cool. Like when the pissy elevator's broken, I'm gonna walk you down. I've heard some of those before, but even then, jabs, you know what I'm saying? Like still landing efficiently through the round. Every one of them doesn't have to be a haymaker, but it's a level of consistency within your writing. All these new guys are ass. And if I learned anything from my mom's recovery, it's to cut the cancers out. I thought that was cool. The no static, turn the TV off on this day room, motherfucker. I thought that was hard. The big, you're big for nothing, and this will get uglier than a Cybertruck. Y'all know the Cybertrucks are humongous. They're ugly as hell. So once again, jabbing all throughout. The stock in public, we go in corporate. I thought that was fire. I thought that was really fire. I'm a lock in for this body. I'm a lock in for a body like rigor mortis. I've heard a lot of rigor mortis bars, but that's actually one of the more creative ones. I thought that was fire. Talking about leaving the crime scene with no prints. It's out of my hands. No prints out of the hands. This is a good ass Core, man. He's just not missing a lot bar for bar, and he's got his signature flow. So you hear me liking all these bars. Maybe not every one of them is a haymaker, but it's in rhythm. You know what I'm saying? It's in flow. It's the rapping that makes it great, and it is battle rap. I love the wordplay. I love the peak haymakers. But when you're kind of just out rapping your opponent, it's added effect to everything that you do. You better read the room, or they're gonna read your obituary. Fire, and a play off the card's name as well. The 380, I named Brenda's Baby. It's a throwaway. That's fire too. Obviously the Pac song. So I thought Core once again like his first. There's a couple haymakers, couple standout bars, but it's more about the fact that he's not missing. Like there's still always some level of rhymes hitting. There's wittiness at wordplay, as he'd say, all throughout, and it's just wrapped so perfect. Like you can clearly tell this is the most locked in you'll see Core 2 rounds in like quite some time. And then it's back on King, who I also think had his best round of the battle. Starts out with the Area 51 based on a true story like bass. I thought that was crazy. Virtual hearing, you'll see Court zooming out the house. That was dope. I pick up where I left off like a bus driver. His heart monitor reacted to a one-liner. So I think King really is stepping it up here, where in the first he had a couple haymakers, but maybe his in-between bars, and that could be like that sometimes with the puncher. It's a little hit or miss. I always compare punchers to like three-point shooters in the NBA. I mean, when they're landing, when they're hitting, they're hitting. You can't stop a guy that's on fire from three, start shooting 33 feet out, and he's still splashing it. But if he gets to missing a little bit, it could be a little bit of a streaky performance. But his second is an example of him hitting shot after shot, right? Pistol in the trap, even my gunpowder, crazy. I cannot quote the dyslexic bar if I tried. I'm hoping you guys have seen the clip. There's a real debate. It's the best bar that I have seen King rap up to this point. You'll be at NYB till it BYNs in the card. He flipped like 3 different numbers. Pull up to the 718 and catch a 187. I'm dyslexic, so the whole way he flipped that up, I thought it was crazy and debatably bar of the battle, to be honest with you. And he's not done there. Siberian Husky, I'm gonna show y'all how my dog slid. Venom, I'm buying guns off the internet. Like Venom, I'm a villain with the dark web. I thought that was crazy. Reverse flat, a lot of superhero bars here, but I happen to be a superhero fan myself. I ain't mad at it. A reverse flash. That image of me. I left that image of me behind myself when I was on the run. That was crazy. I left court in a bad mood, like child support, and I said it live. the crowd started really talking through the battle, I'd say midway through King's second, and it has to do with the way he ends his round. He has the pouring out Puerto Rican blood pouring out, and it's 10% black, but he didn't even really get through that bar, and kind of ends his round due to frustration from the crowd, and I think it affects him more in the third round, but affects his ending in the second enough where I think it's still a debatable round. Like, I think, Core's got the first round, I think, pretty clear in the playback. I still think the second's debatable, but like I said, it's like those punchers, like three-point shooters. When they just hit enough, that they're going to keep like landing big shots in a row and building momentum. So even still on the rewatch, I edge King the second round of the battle. But like I said, I think the second is the best of both of their material. And that's why for me, you can debate it Core 2-0, but I personally had it 1-1 going into the third round. In the third round of the battle, for anyone that watches Cortez battles, this one was no different. In the third round, there was some shit he had to speak about, right? And this is kind of him speaking on what caused maybe the absence from battle rap the last year or so, like some of the struggles in his life mentally, and that's his son getting locked up. I believe, what do you say, on got tried for 2 attempted murders, ended up going away for 7 years. So obviously, free Corson. I hope that he seems to be doing much better mentally over there. So this is him kind of airing his grievances a little bit in that personal, that substance-filled rap that is a huge difference in this third round. It's something that I think Core shows a bit of a difference in skill set here. So my son got locked up. I had to put a pause to everything, like Dame Dash, witty. I like that. Everyone knows the most important thing to a king is his blood. So now you're name flipping, but involving it with the angle, the self angle about your personal life, which I thought was crazy. He could have been on the wall, so I'm happy he's only behind one, which led to cheers. I'm saying, a very abrupt applause from the crowd, which was very deserved, and then finishes kind of this whole angle about talking about his son and after this body I might be in that cell block with him, which is a haymaker. That's how you use sentimental material, some real talk, some substance stuff where we're with you, you're relating, and then bam, lands the bomb to perfectly end the end of the angle. URPG, get you hit at long range with an RPG. I thought that was cool wordplay. The battle rap is chess, and King's only got one move. For my chess players out there, you can move the king in any direction, but only one spot. I thought that was dope. Seeing my son locked, let me break free, and that's why when I'm always looking out for my peoples, and I'm a king in their eyes. I kind of butchered the way he put it together, but kind of played back on the angle. But once again, like substance, like that's just the word to describe this third round. King, since homie think King James, like LeBron James, he's gonna burn in Jersey when they were burning the Cavs jerseys. Thought that was dope. And then a flip on one of his own slogans. I'm still getting this top tier money, and it's stacking it I'm still getting top tier money in the mattress, and it's stacking a king size. So a little double there. It's technically probably the weakest of Core's 3 rounds, but I think the difference in skill set, the difference in subject matter is the perfect flip up after you've really just went bar for bar. Like in the first 2 rounds, it's funny, you speaking down on punching, but they're really punching with each other. I just think Core is matching him in that regard, which just goes to show how underrated Core can be purely as a writer. But some people would say his third is his best because of that switch in subject matter, a little bit more serious and even tailored at the same time. And then I think the third happens to be King's weakest round as well. He kind of starts slow until he gets to the Kobe throw. I shoot better with a hair trigger. Kind of has a retort, a little bit of count, a little bit of his own substance, although I don't think he executed it as well. My cousin's been locked so long. I got the prison number saved under his name. Haymaker, fire, especially in a retort, you know what I'm saying, or what Core was saying. Your son was locked, and my mother and I think it was my aunt beat cancer. That's what we're talking on this stage 4, which hit, even though we've heard tons of stage 4 bars throughout the years, but a lot of times people use it as like real reality rap. They're speaking on their life, and that's always going to earn a cheer from the crowd, even if we have heard stage 4 cancer bars. I don't read in Braille, but I had to deal with touchy subjects that I ain't want to hear. Touchy subjects. I thought that was crazy. He has a bar about Daylight losing to Core, which didn't happen. Core clearly beat Daylight on King of the Dot, for those that remember. But he says, how come you couldn't Kilowatts rapper with shock factor? And it's funny because Core said he won. He's like, I had you winning too. I just like the bar. So it kind of diffuses his own bar right there. I go to war and buff it up. We could have been on the Forbes list. And then, I'm such a hustler that I would hustle plan Bs if Trump bans abortion. So a couple cool bars at the end by King, but kind of one of the weaker King rounds you're going to see. Like, he still had some moments in there, but this is the clearest round. This is one that live, I don't know how I called this close. And that just goes to show, man, ain't nobody perfect out here. You know what I'm saying? I could call some shit wrong in the building. Battle rap is meant to be watched in a few different forms, on camera and in person, but it's meant to be watched more than once in most cases. And this is a great example of me calling it close for King, and I still think King had a very good performance, particularly in the first 2 rounds, but I'm completely understanding of that consensus call, because on the rewatch, I do have the second still as debatable, but I have the third and first clear for Cortez, and I still, even though it's a debatable round, edge King that second, so I'm actually not mad at anyone that says Core Gentleman's 30, but I do have it Cortez rounds 1 and 3 in what was still one of the best battles of the night. But that is my full review here for King versus Cortez, which I still was a battle that left such an impression on me watching it in person. I knew I had to go back and rewatch it. And plus, it's one thing, I'm not always going to vote on the same side as the consensus. I'm going to call battles for how I view them. But I think in battle rap, while people will put down the consensus more times than not, I'm not going to say all the time, but more times than not, it's usually the right call, especially when we talk about, I'd say about 65 or 70% or more leaning in one direction when you're looking at different platforms and how people called it. So when I saw I was in the large minority having King in the first 2 rounds, I still think he had a very good first 2 rounds, but I knew it would be worth a rewatch, and it is one where I think core style, the efficiency of it, and also just the all-around game. I think he showed King a thing or two that King can learn from, where King is his aggression top-notch. What he is a puncher, and the ability to kind of produce sometimes usually the best bar of each round, because you can debate, I got him losing the first, but I think he might have had the 2 best bars of the first, I think he had the best bars of the second, which got him the round, but it's the rapping ability, it's the substance, it's taking a few different attacks at your opponent, and I just think that more vet type of experience and all-around game is really what helped Cortez in this one, which is why I could call it close in the building. And then on the rewatch, I am understanding now, and I agree that Cortez pretty clearly won this battle, whether at the very least you're giving him the first and third, but there is also that argument for him in the second. And speaking to King, I still think he's the best out of the trenches talent, and I think he gave a really good fight here, but this is the first performance where I'm looking at where it's not just aces across the board. I feel like he let the crowd get to him in the second and the third, and I think particularly in the third, that hurt him a little bit, and it just shows that he's had some angle-based thirds he was working on before this, an angle-based third versus Los Prime, angle-based third versus Zeta Dropout, and that's something he improved on, and I thought he kind of left behind a bit in this battle, and he definitely could have used that more tailored, substance-based third round, and maybe he had something more along those lines without the crowd noise distracting him, but the crowd was giving him and Cortez problems, but one person definitely fought through it a lot better than the other in this battle. So for all those different reasons, I still think it's a good King performance. I think there's positives to take, but there's definitely critiques, and in my opinion, this is the first clear loss he's taken since he's kind of started to go on this run and gain respect. And from this card, although I think all the trenches guys did some positive things, there's a lot and different levels that each can learn at, but a lot that each can learn from this, whether it's controlling rooms with more people, with Muop not really rushing your delivery, with Tex more of an editing issue. I just feel like he had dead spots of material that didn't need to be there, and for King a little more diversity in the skill set, and these are all things that they're going to have to work on going into their next plates, because the second you can afford adversity, but you can't afford streaks of adversity where you start to put losses together or not grow your skill set, and those are all things I'm going to be looking for them more so and kind of demanding of them going into their next battles. But if I had to rank it, quickly just speak on the trenches, I think King had the best performance of the 3. Muop and Tex both kind of had issues, but Muop had a more positive kind of result for himself, and then Tex took a clear loss that I thought he was going to win in, and at some point I do think he has to put a W on the board, because I've seen him versus Jay Moore, good battle, him versus Riggs, good battle, him versus Mac, good battle, but there's not a W in there. So this is my thoughts on the battle, and also what I'm going to want to see from these guys going forward. And I want to hear your guys' opinions in the comments. How'd you call this battle? What do you think should happen for Core next? Because Core called out, I think, Chef Trez. I would love to see Cortez versus Chef Trez. He called out Av, which is supposed to have been happened. I don't know if Cortez is ready to deal with the Av that's kind of walking around right now, but he called out bad news as well. Ilmac, with the way Ilmac looked recently, I think Cortez could give him some issues. So out of all those suggestions, what do you want for Core next? What do you want for King next? And then how did you call the battle overall? But it's been J Smo Reviews again here, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.